he doesn't ask the first
I don't
question?
know. It's big shoes to fill, but I think I'm up to the
All
challenge.
right. Feel the pressure. All right, so I thought it was a strong practice. I think that to have a strong practice, you really need all three phases of football showing up. I thought our defense showed up at times, our offense made plays. I don't pay attention too much to special teams, but I'm sure it was a good practice. But players making plays, and that's what you want to see, and I think we had that. I think guys strained and worked and got better today, and there's always going to be a few plays you want back. So we just kind of keep taking steps. Right now it's that time of year where you just, every day you go out looking for continuous improvement, and you know that there's not a true game lingering a day or two away like there is in the season, but you still feel that sense of urgency to get better and improve and get better as a group, building towards week 1 and beyond. So take any questions you have.
It looked like you were very comfortable today, kind of airing it out, maybe more so.
Yeah,
than
we did go a little deeper
practices.
today. Yeah.
Any reason for that, and how did you feel?
Yeah, I think the play call is part of it. We're calling shots, and I think defensive structure sometimes where a shot called is not a shot taken if the defense plays something deep. But I felt like we kept getting opportunities, and it wasn't like they were open. It was more like they were one-on-one, and so you felt like, Drake give him a chance down the field, Kyle Pitts give him a chance down the field, Mooney, and even Charlie Warner. So, I think it's important that we do that to evaluate. Hey, how is this guy in a one-on-one tight window situation? And I think I like the results today with the way the guys came down with football.
You hit Drake on a number of big plays where he kind of went up for the ball.
Yeah.
What are you seeing from him, and what are you liking about those situations with him?
Yeah, he's been great at the catch point. Takes pride in that. Expects to catch difficult catches. He expects to bring it in, and he separates well. I think the concern is with a guy who's a hands guy is like, well, how does he move? How does he separate? But Drake's separating well, where you feel like you're getting the best of both worlds. And then when you add his size, visually and otherwise, just kind of a friendly target where you feel like he's covered, but he's open because he gives you a bigger surface area to throw the football. So when you combine all that, you kind of like the potential there.
He had a kind of a rough day on Monday, and I saw you talking to him and Kyle after practice and kind of throwing the ball a little bit to them once practice was over. What did you say to him then, if you could tell us, and do you think some of that kind of carried over to today, because he played really well today?
Yeah, I think, again, like, there may have been one ball that he thought he should have caught on Monday that I felt like, yeah, but at the same time, it was bang, bang, and the guy punches it out. It's not, I don't really view it as a drop, but he was hard on himself. And in post-practice, we were just going over a specific look that we saw in Miami that we hadn't had time to review, and so I wanted to cover it with him. And maybe if he felt the chip on his shoulder, came to practice today, but I think the challenge is, if that's the case, I'd go talk to him to say, hey, we all kind of have to have that chip on our shoulder every day. So I would think it was just him coming out and being Drake London and having a good day.
Kurt, you've been in this position a few times where you learn a new offense, the new coach. Where do you say the team is right now as far as training camp at this point?
Yeah, I ask that question myself like 17 times a day. Where are we? What are we not doing? What do I got to go cover that hasn't been covered? Unfortunately, it's hard to know. It's hard to really know until you play. I've heard some head coaches say they don't really know the team they have until week 4 or 5, and I can see why they say that. But where we are right now, I like our group. I think that the Miami practices were a good test for us. We have to keep bringing intensity every day, and you got to believe that if you do that, your coaches will have you ready.
Do you feel like being here, being a vet, but being with a new team, new coach, learning everything, is it kind of refreshing for you specifically?
I'm enjoying it. I think it starts with Raheem. He's a cheerful person. He doesn't carry the weight of the world on his shoulders, which a lot of head coaches do, understandably. But he comes to work, he enjoys being a coach. He enjoys being a head coach. He enjoys relating to people. As I walked off the field today, he gave me feedback with a smile on his face. And I think that infiltrates the whole building. I really like playing with, the guys who are younger than me, obviously, but I really like the guys, right? So I'm 35, about to be 36. They're 23, 24, but I feel like we're buddies, and that's fun. I like them as people, and so I enjoy going to work with them. I think our offensive line is really humble and really hungry, and that's really fun to step in a huddle where you feel like these guys they just want to strain and work and do the best they can for their O-line coach, for me, for their teammates, and you just love that. And so there's a lot of reasons to come into work and really enjoy, who you work with and what you do.
Do you like preseason games? Like Raheem was pretty honest. He says he doesn't like them. Do you like? I mean, you're not even playing in them. So, and then you don't have the team until later, like week 4 or 5. Do you think they're valuable or?
I do. I'd like to play. We've talked about this, right? We've been there. If I'm playing, yes, they're valuable, right? I'm gonna get something out of it. I'm gonna get a lot out of it. I think what's hard is, you get home at 4 a.m. And I think that's the hard part where you're like, "Ooh, this is tough," So I think that's the challenge, is the logistics of it all. But it's good work, and it's the real thing, and we can try as hard as we can to make practice feel like the real thing. It doesn't. It's different when it's a game, and so I think it has value, but there will always be this debate as long as guys are getting hurt, like what we had the other night.
Kirk, when we were down in Miami, you talked about kind of keeping your instincts sharp, even if you're not going to be suiting up in these preseason games. Noticed you on some of the rollouts today. What are some of the instincts on those types of plays where you're extending kind of the pocket and you're moving yourself?
A couple bootlegs. Those probably feel pretty natural just because of the years of banked reps. And come on in, Led. You're not gonna throw me off. You just interrupted me.
Yeah.
You're good. I like that polo. That's kind of a subtle flex there. I've seen him with the Hall of Fame logo, but never with selector running underneath. So sounds like you're the guy we all players got to be nice to then. I think it's really important that you do playoff schedule, that you do move, and that they're going to blow a quick whistle at times, but that you try to get it to feel like a game. It's important, and it's hard with the red jersey, but it's a big part of football. As you watch guys, off-schedule plays are a big part of being successful.
And learning about some of the guys out there today with some of the deep shots.
Yeah.
When you let it go, did you expect Charlie Warner to go on top of Jesse Bates
No,
and
I
make
didn't.
that catch?
No,
or
it
did
was,
you learn something?
So I could talk all day about this, but it's 4th down. So the ball's got to go somewhere. They dropped both defensive ends. I got Mooney on my left. He was kind of doubled. I was trying to get to Bijan on my right. He's doubled. So I'm like, oh boy. So now it's off schedule, right? But I think they may have only rushed 3. I'm not sure. I go back and watch the tapes. You got time. O-line held up. And then it's a question of, okay, do I run around or do I try to find somebody from the pocket? I saw Charlie one-on-one, and I thought it's 4th down, put it up. And I thought, as the ball's in the air, I'm going, Charlie Warner and Jesse Bates, odds aren't in our favor. And then next thing you know, it's a touchdown. So you never know. But I think when I go back and watch it, I'll think critically, should I just run? Should I have taken off, left the pocket? And that's where even after a touchdown, you don't really watch the film, patting yourself on the back. You more watch the film saying, yeah, but what's the most sustainable way to convert a 4th down in that situation moving forward when both of my primaries are covered? Is it run? Is it go somewhere else? What is it? And I think those are the conversations you have in the meeting room this afternoon, rather than just saying, "Oh, look at Charlie, what a great catch!"
So
You
you're
watched that
evaluating
one.
the decision. And
Oh
not the
yeah,
results.
Process not results. Process over results all day. Process over results all day.
Did you
At
watch
this
that
point
one
in the
on the
season,
video
Kurt,
or?
at this
I
point-
did.
Yeah, and
I
you
think he
saw
was.
it.
I was watching to see if he was in bounds. 'Cause I thought he was out of bounds, but he was in bounds. But we'll watch it a few more times this afternoon.
Hey Kirk, at this point in the season, what do you feel needs to be done to reach your desired level of performance for the offense?
Well, right now it's just stacking days, having really strong practices, making every rep count, and trying to feel like you were better today than you were last week or a month ago, and then do it again and again and again. And every rep is so valuable, and it's a slow accumulation, but there's no doubt that the accumulation over time is a powerful thing, and that's what we're building towards.
How do you
You
kind of
talked
get
about
through?
the offensive line a little bit earlier. What do you expect from this run game? It's a little harder
Yeah.
for us to kind of see
Yeah.
it from our perspective here.
Well, I have high expectations. I think we have good backs. I think we have a strong O-line group. I think our O-line coach does a very good job. I think the guys they know what they need to do. They have an identity, which is important. I think we have to have our tight ends having a big impact as well, which is why we went and got Charlie. Kyle Pitts, I think, has really stepped up in both pass protection and in his run blocking this camp, and I think that's another sign of progress, continuous improvement. So all those pieces have to fit together, and if one of them is out, including me, I got to get us in the right run plays and out of the wrong ones. And as long as we're all working together, I think I have high expectations. But if one of those things is off, it can ruin the whole deal. So that's why you feel that razor's edge every day when you come out.
So can you talk about a little bit to what you're saying, the kind of adjustments that you're making offensively to continue building that chemistry, to kind of fit the strengths and weaknesses of the players, the position players?
Yeah, I think you just want to make sure you're covering all your bases, and so you get through a week and you say, hey, have we tried this? Have we done this? Is there something I'm missing? Do our hand signals, our snap counts? Is there anything I'm not covering that's going to show up in the season that we need to go back and look at? And so you're trying to hit every phase of offense and all the different issues that could arise and cover it now, so that when you get to the regular season, it feels like we've talked about this, it's familiar, and we're ready to go.
I know we've been talking about you going over to your receivers and talking them through things that you would have liked to see differently or whatever. When it comes to them asking you questions, how much do you see a desire for them to learn?
Yeah, really strong desire. Mooney's locker's next to me, so we have conversations all day long. Drake, much the same way. Kyle Pitts, much the same way. I really enjoy having discussions with them. And many times just telling them how awesome they are. Going over and say, hey, you killed him on that route. That was really good. Or, hey, nice catch, man. That was awesome one-handed catch. So, giving them praise when it's due, and it is a lot of the time. And then just making sure that in difficult looks you say, hey, this is what you were thinking, but this is what I was thinking. Let's talk about what's the best option.
Going back to the Charlie Warner catch for a second, do you remember the first thing that you thought as soon as you grabbed that ball?
This is a funny game. I think you can scheme it up. You can have all these plans. You can, think there's no chance, and then next thing you know, you're blocking tight end. Moss is one of your best players on your team. But I joked with the guys. I said, hey, when Jesse starts, and Jesse's not like this, but I said, if Jesse starts, feeling himself a little bit in one-on-ones or something, I'm gonna say, hey, Jesse, don't make me send Charlie over there. We all know what happened. So.
We get to tour the facility and see the upgrades, and I know you can't compare it to last season since you weren't here, but what's your favorite part about, what they've done?
Let me think about that. Love the calf. It's a great setup, big kitchen. The barber shop is eyebrow raising. We got like 3 chairs. It's taking up a lot of square footage. So I said, priorities here. Clearly getting a haircut's a big deal. The Falcons culture, you better be lined up, because the amount of square footage that we have devoted to haircuts, this is you better come in clean. So.
A lot of times the identity is talked about, identity either schematically or identity is how you play.
Yeah.
What's more important in your mind?
Well, I kind of see them as one a little bit. I think identity is a big deal, that what you do well and that you can do it versus any look. And I think when you're just running plays and you don't really have an identity, but you just run plays, you really don't own it. And you really don't, when you get that tough look, you go, what am I doing here? So I think when teams, have an identity, they know what they do well, they know how to do it versus every look, and they can take it to the bank. I think that's something you can really lean on in crunch time during the season. And I think when you create change, you have new players, new coaches, you got to reestablish that. The identity just doesn't show up, and so that's part of our challenge. Is I think we're still figuring out what is our identity and what does it look like, and it takes some of the season to get there, but the good teams, I think, have one, and we've got to get one here, soon as we get into the season.
At this point of training camp, how do you kind of get over how do you deal with the repetitiveness of it when you don't have games that you're preparing for every week and things like that?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think it's a question I've asked myself, because I count high school 2-a-days, so I've been in training camp for like 22 years, but I haven't had too many Augusts off, so. But I think you enjoy being in the present and just saying, today is Wednesday, I think. I'm going to have the best Wednesday practice I can possibly have. And I'm going to forget about what Tuesday was. I don't care what Thursday's about to be. Can I just go out and dominate and shred our defense on Wednesday? And if you can keep that focus of just being in the present moment, that's the best way to go about it. And you look up and it's been 6 weeks and the Steelers are here. And that's kind of how it goes. So one day at a time. And as I've said to the teammates many times, I say, guys, the days in this league are long, the years are short, and you look up and it's year 13. So just keep stacking days.
And speaking of the defense real quick, how impressed have you been with them in camp so far, and how do you see that impacting the offensive defense?
Well, a lot of respect for our defense. I think the way they play some coverages, they do a really good job. There's some base coverages you say, I've played that coverage many, many times. Then you play our defense, you go, that's a little different. They do it, to their level. So that's encouraging to see. And I think they're well coached. I think they're well led by the players. And I think we don't get enough chances to go against the ones right now. It's kind of ones versus twos, and then we have these few periods throughout the day or throughout the week where we get to compete against the ones, but when we do, those are real important periods for us, and I think it's really competitive when we do that, which is a good thing.
Kirk, when we talk about the identities and kind of the time it takes to find it out there on the field, is there an added sense of urgency,
Yeah.
given how front-loaded the schedule is
Oh, no doubt.
with division games to lock
Yeah,
into that?
yeah. I mean, I've been on teams where I've started I think 1-5, and you look up and it's like, oh no, and then we worked our way back, but it's too late. And so, there's definitely you got to get the wind at your back, and you do that by winning early, and so that's partly why training camp I think is such an important deal. Is you got to hit the ground running when week 1 gets here.
Anything else?
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.